Jason, some say that you're Gotham's reckoning. Welcome to Granny's Peach Tea, episode 54. I'm Bane, and with me as always is Jason. Jason, how are you this evening?
I'm okay. I'm here so I can talk to you, Bane, about Dark Knight Rises.
And I'm going to just cut that because I'm sure some people are going to get sick of that quickly. Thank you for joining us at episode 54 of Granny's Peach Tea. Back in our regular home of Wednesday nights at 8:30-ish this time because, truth be told, Spectrum kind of screwed up my Wi-Fi for a little while, but we're here, and we're super excited to hit the ground running with the stuff that we got ready to go. Yeah, so if you can tell, obviously, by now, our movie of the week is The Dark Knight Rises as we continue our Batman rewatch, and we've got one more. This is it.
That's it.
Next week is the Batman.
I can't believe it. I can't believe we are about to cover a new Batman on this show. And I'm still torn, man. I'm still torn because there are things I see and I hear and that I like, and there are things I see and hear, and I'm like, I don't know. And you know me, I'm a finicky guy. I'm a picky guy with my Batman. So, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see it and talk about it next week.
No, for sure. And we're gonna see it in less than a week.
Yeah, I know.
Me, you, and Tim are gonna go see it in less than a week. We're seeing it Tuesday night at the IMAX fan event.
Right, that's crazy. I'm super excited.
Yeah, no, me too. All right, but to kick it off though, but we do have The Dark Knight Rises. That's our movie, and we have the return of Superman and Lois, and we also had the return of Naomi. No streaming show this week, but it's all good, baby, all good. Jason, what do you got for us this week for unhassling the Hoff? Because I know you were chomping at the bit to talk about Baywatch Nights.
I was. I'm so sorry. I thought I had my Bizarro action figure that I put aside, and he's not here. But, guys, everyone, anyone who has been listening to me ramble on about Baywatch Nights and like what the hell is the whole point? People have asked me this. Friends of mine have asked me this. What the hell's the whole point? Here's the point, guys. It gets crazy. It literally becomes an X-Files like ripoff. Like there are ghosts and monsters, and they completely redo the theme, and they get rid of. They get rid of the singer, and they get rid of the cop, and literally this episode is Mitch and the photographer going under the in the ocean where there's a wreck to save people stuck on the underwater wreck and fight sea monsters.
Okay, that's enough.
There was sea monsters in this.
Jason, is there a chance we went too far with this whole shtick?
I gotta say that I'm scared, and I'm scared because I knew it was gonna get weird, and I thought it was gonna progressively get weird, but now I am so committed, and it got weird so fast, and I still got a season of this left that I have to watch that I've committed to. So, I'm afraid, and this maybe my penance is to watch the worst of it. This wasn't unhassling the Hoff. This was punishing the fish for hassling the Hoff to begin with.
Wow. I like that. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Much better than the show.
It's my documentary. We're going to be filming it soon.
Fair enough. All right. So we'll get through that second season of Baywatch Nights as time goes on. But we're going to jump right into it.
Let's do it.
So we got Superman and Lois that returned this week, season 2, episode 5 from its 2-week hiatus for whatever reason that was.
Weird.
But yeah, so things picked up pretty quickly with Lana's husband. The secret is out. I keep forgetting this guy's name, but apparently the husband's secret's out because the last time we saw them, there was a big concern that he was like cheating, and that her political opponent that's running for mayor was going to use that to expose them, and it kind of comes out in a weird, different way that I didn't personally see coming, and they also solidified that Lana did not know about it, or at least it appears that way. Because who knows? Because this show does keep us on our toes with misdirects. They are pretty good with that.
But she did. But again, she does have that moment. Like, wait, the bartender. You said you were going out to blow off some steam. Like, so it would be hard. I'm not saying they couldn't. It couldn't be a misdirect, but they would have to do some pretty good writing to have that be it.
That's true. But yeah, so Lana finds out because the daughter finds out because they overhears her father talking to the woman, the bartender outside. They don't really say anything like script, but it's just like you kind of obviously know something's up. It's pretty thing, and it's like at her 15th birthday party,
Yeah,
which
quinceanera.
it's a quinceanera, and yeah, it looked pretty cool. Like everyone was having a good time, and literally everyone in the town except um no, Jonathan's girlfriend seemed like was invited. I mean,
Yeah.
even Lois's coworker was there.
Yeah,
Like,
and
where's the connection there?
And they actually had a moment where she was like, "Oh, Jonathan, sorry we couldn't invite your girlfriend. Like we had so many people here." Like she actually does mention it, so it must have been like that must have been a purposeful choice.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. She was like, "Screw her, I don't want her here," because like I was like, okay, that was weird that they brought that up, but then suddenly like you see Lois's like coworker there.
Yes,
and I'm like, all right, so she was obviously bullshitting about that. We get another storyline too. So the Kent brothers are dealing with some stuff where last we saw them, Jordan was going to get trained by General Lane, which I also find kind of weird because it's like, what does General Lane know about having Superman's powers?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just training him in general,
like combat training, right?
Yeah,
like fight.
Yeah, military training. Like even if it's not fight, but like if you remember when he called, the whole reason this got started was because he used his powers stupidly. So maybe it's just like, here's how to fight, here's how to know when to use your powers, here's how to be aware of your surroundings. Like that's kind of what I assume it is.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there seems to be DC heroes that need to mind their surroundings.
Yeah, right.
As we learned, as we were reminded 2 weeks ago with Bruce Wayne, and Ross, cool.
Know your surroundings. That's a terrible impression.
But pretty much, so then, like, it looks like Jonathan gets wind of this. Like, he goes to the training and he shows up, like, yeah, you can kind of help me out because he wants to get trained, and then he juices up with that inhaler.
And he pretends to have powers, like, and he's even called out on it later, and he's like, "Oh, you got powers now," and he's like, "Yeah, but let's keep it a secret." So it's interesting. It out of character, I thought, but I mean, I guess they're going with the allegory for drug use here and drug addiction. So I'm into it.
Yeah, that's good. No, I enjoy it too, and yeah, and you're right. It did seem like it was a little bit out of character, but he's obviously dealing with like some insecurities, it appears, like from being on the football team, and that kid was juicing up, and that's why he did is he was stealing his spot as the school quarterback.
Right.
And then now, like with his brother, it's just like, oh, you're the brother without powers. But
right, exactly.
But yeah, he kicks his ass though. I mean, like Jonathan whoops Jordan's ass eventually, and he keeps on like rubbing his face in it, like, I'm just better. Like you're gonna need to learn to deal with it. Meanwhile, this kid can friggin' like laser eye your face off in 2 seconds if he really wanted to.
Right, exactly.
Lucky you're not dealing with like Homelander right now, because he can instantly just like he would just kill you, dude.
But you know why he doesn't? Because he chooses not to, and that is why if we said who would win in a fight, the brother with no powers or juiced up powers, or the brother with legitimate powers, you couldn't say the brother with legitimate powers, and that is the crux of my Batman versus Superman fight. So I just wanted to reinforce it with Superman's sons right here.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
So then we see that we also learn more about Allie. She's the woman who was like the head of the inverse theory thing, and she was like telling people that they were going to ascend. But then it starts off with a flashback of her in Metropolis in like 1979. As a child, it turns like the necklace that was around Bizarro that they really haven't addressed yet. She has it, or has one of the two, because there has to be two of them. Because in this episode too, we learn later on that Bizarro had one, lost it in the fight in the previous episode. That was captured by the DOD. But then we also see Allie has one as well.
Yeah, right.
So there must be two of them. And that's where we learned a lot more about the inverse, and that maybe this woman, Allie, isn't just some bonkers person who's like doing crazy shit with people. Like she's teaching people about their shadow self, and there's a lot of that stuff that's mentioned.
Right.
And
Which
even
I think is super interesting because that is a whole thing in psychology of like, there's yourself and your shadow self. The shadow self does what pretty much it's what you want to do but don't because of morality, you know what I mean? So I
yeah,
thought that was cool, but they're literally saying like, no, she transports you to a world where there is a doppelganger of you that is kind of your shadow. And so, because she's this like psychologist cult leader, I
mhm.
thought that was really cool, sort of double coding there.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. That she had something to do with it, and then
Yeah.
we see that she apparently like seems to be part of the reason that Bizarro is there, because then Bizarro ends at the end of the episode. We'll jump to that quickly because I think the standout moment was the fight between Superman and Bizarro,
Yeah, it was
which
good.
was incredible. Um, but the thing we find out at the end though, because like Bizarro, well, whatever. Actually, let's talk about the fight then. The fight it's a fantastic fight. They're knocking the shit out of each other through all over the place, and then Superman ends up like bringing him back to like the mining tunnel. And I'm assuming that was Armin's kryptonite because they don't really say what that is.
They don't
It
say,
appears
but
like
that's what it looked
kryptonite.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he like Superman ends up taking the orange kryptonite and knocking out Bizarro and taking him to the Fortress of Solitude. So like the spirit of like the mind of his mother is the one the consciousness is working on
Yes.
him and ends up decoding him where now they can understand because Bizarro speaks and not like backwards talk. He's
Right.
speaking in some other language.
It's a language that they don't understand, which I think is cool again because
Yeah.
if it was backwards talk, I'd be like, not the place for it. But
No.
no, and I think they even say he's from another, or
Mm-hmm.
they assume he's from another multiverse. I think Clark even says, because there's like in the beginning of the episode, Lois comes in on him, Bizarro apparently killing someone, and he says something to her and flies off. And Clark is like, well, maybe in his universe, he's married to a Lois. So
Yeah.
I think that's cool that they're kind of laying the groundwork for this multiverse from where he comes from.
No, for sure. And then we find out that in that multiverse that Bizarro was from, that Allie has like taken over the world.
Yes.
And she's totally in charge and she's like ruined everything. And Bizarro is here to, which by the way, they dropped the name Bizarro. They don't call him straight out Bizarro, but they mention Bizarro like 2 or 3 times. And so you get there, they might not literally dub him Bizarro, but we all get it and you've done enough with it.
And that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Calling him Bizarro would be stupid.
I agree, unless there's like something, yeah, because they even refer to him as Clark.
Yes.
No, Kal-El. They call him Kal-El.
Kal-El, yeah.
In the Fortress of Solitude. And he pretty much tells them, listen, I'm here to save your planet and my own planet because this woman's going to take over and like destroy your entire planet. So now for the second season in a row, we kind of got somebody coming from another multiverse.
Yeah.
That where their shit got destroyed and now they're trying to save this one. Earth Prime that we're in. So interesting stuff.
I think it's super cool that it's Bizarro, like because again, like talk about misdirection. We all kind of assumed Bizarro was going to be a villain. I don't think there was ever a conversation that we had that maybe he was a good guy.
No.
I think the best was maybe he just doesn't know what he's doing here. But the fact that he's actively, according to him, and I do believe him, actively trying to save his world and Clark's, I think that's a really interesting misdirect and cool turn because Bizarro is not a guy that we equate with heroism for the most part in the comic.
Yeah, no, he's just kind of like he's a very goofy character.
Yeah,
for the most part, kind of like a running joke and everything. But I think they're doing a good job with like changing him for the tone of this show.
Agreed.
To make him fit in. I think he looks cool also, and the backwards S is there, the signature one, which is nice to see that they kept that intact. But I think they're doing a good job with it. I'm curious to see more about Allie and how much does she know about what she's doing with this inverse method, because there's a scene where she goes ahead and drugs Lois's partner and sends her there, and she describes the whole experience there.
That's how we know about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she says, it was, what was it? She was in charge and everything was, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she pretty much describes it as a hellscape. And that's why she's like, yeah, that's scary. Like, we've got to do something.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I mean, they're doing a damn good job, as we seem to like what they're doing with the show.
Yeah.
And again, if you're joining us for the first time, if you like Superman and you haven't checked out Superman and Lois, you should definitely jump on board now because you're not too far behind. Season 1 was only like 15 episodes. Obviously, up to episode 5 of this one. Jump on board because you are definitely missing out. This show is pretty kick-ass.
And as I always say, again, even if you're not a Superman person, because I'm not a Superman person, but you like DC and you like you like these characters, and you want to see something with Superman in it that is interesting, this is also a good watch. Because again, I'm not a Superman guy, but I love this. I look forward to watching this every week.
No, me too. I genuinely get excited for it. So good stuff. All right. And the other CW show that came back this week was Naomi. Season 1, also episode 5, which I kind of like what CW is doing, where they're pairing the shows up, so they'll run, alongside each other, and then they kind of like end together. And I think that's cool. And put in now that it also makes sense that Naomi is a new show, so it makes sense that it would follow Superman and Lois because that's like their most popular hit now. I mean, I'm not sure rating wise if Flash does better or not because I know they were doing really well, but. I don't know. Superman and Lois is the damn best show that CW has.
Yeah, for sure. I'm surprised the Flash still beats it everything in ratings.
Last I read, that was the case. I don't know if that was the case last season, but yeah. But we also know Naomi has a link to Superman, which
right.
We did get another taste for in this episode. The episode overall, the standout moment for me is it happens in the first 3 minutes of the episode. Is Naomi saying how she doesn't like mint chocolate chip and how it tastes like toothpaste.
Yes.
Jason, I've been saying that my entire life. I despise mint chocolate chip.
You and my wife, man. You and my wife. I like mint chocolate chip, but I also like the taste of toothpaste, so.
Oh, I mean, then I got nothing to say. That's it. I love chocolate, probably more than most people. But I can't get on board with that. But yeah, so it opens up with a flashback 7 months ago, right? I think it was 7 months ago.
I think it said 7 months ago, yeah.
Yeah, 7 months ago, where they're on their first date because she just got back with her ex-boyfriend, but it doesn't seem like they were dating that long. I thought there was more history to them than we found out in this episode. But either way, I thought that was actually pretty cool. And then also they were bonding over a scene in The Matrix. Morpheus is talking because they went to like a drive-in thing.
Like that.
I kind of dug that. But throughout the episode, Naomi's dealing with stuff with her relationship stuff with her new boyfriend, and he's just pretty much saying throughout the episode, I want you to talk to me about these kind of things, like you don't tell me stuff. And plus, to answer the big question, why the hell did you break up in the first place? Because that never gets answered. And that's actually something I'm kind of interested in knowing now, because...
Doesn't she answer it at the end? I mean, it's not a real answer, but doesn't she answer
it? It's a sidestep answer. Like, she doesn't really give a legit answer.
Okay.
Whatever. But the big things in this episode, though, is... it's funny, because I watch this show now, and I think of your term for them, the Scooby Gang.
The Scooby Gang. Yeah, that's exactly who they are.
Yeah, because Naomi and her friends legitimately do that. I'm waiting every episode for them to pull someone's face mask off. And I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you damn meddling kids.
Look, there better be an alien pet on all fours that can talk like Scooby-Doo, and then forget about it. This show's the best ever if that happens.
Listen, in some ways, DC might not be far off because, like, during the week, I don't know if you've noticed, but that news drop I shared on our Facebook page that they greenlit, or they're at least in development, is a Wonder Twins movie.
Yeah, I did see that.
If they don't turn into water in a bucket and like, I'm
like an ape? Yeah, I want a bucket of water and an ape to throw it. Like, that's... One of the Wonder Twins always had the crappy one. It's like form of a bucket of water, form of a super strong ape to throw the bucket of water and then kick ass otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's up with that. We're talking shit, but I bet you they might actually come up with a cool way to make it work, and then we'll be like, we're gonna actually review this and say, something we kind of, it's okay.
Well, you know what though? I hope it's a Zack Snyder joint where it's 7 hours and it's all in slow motion.
Oh my god.
And like the Wonder Twins of bleak backstories.
I actually want that now.
Yeah, right. Wonder Twin powers activate.
If we have to.
If we have to, slow motion punch to the screen.
So either way, the Scooby Gang pretty much goes to a leadership camp. Like the leaders. Well, Jason, I wanted to ask you about this because when we were in high school,
oh
together,
shit, I did.
You did go. I
did.
remembered this. No, I didn't go to that.
No, I did. I went to that. Right?
You went to that.
I did
yeah.
Go to that. Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second. Who the hell went from our school? Because I remember there was one of these. I'm
That's
like,
right. I forgot about that.
Wasn't it in like Tennessee or some shit, like Nashville or something?
No. All right, no. So I actually did a bunch of traveling for this school, which was weird. But no, I went to Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis.
But that wasn't the leadership thing.
Oh,
that was we were going to represent the school, which the school still has these like conferences because our school was like a different kind of New Vision school. So it had a whole different thing. So they have conferences every year. So that was the Memphis thing. But I had gone to, and I don't remember what it was called, but it was like upstate New York with a bunch of people for the school leadership. Yeah. And no, this was nothing like that, man.
Okay.
I did 2 things there. I did 3 things there. Do you remember Tariq?
Yeah, of course.
So, like, Tariq and I bonded and played Othello for, like, an hour. That was one thing I did, and that was awesome. That's my favorite part of the weekend. Uh-huh. I did dishes because everyone had to take turns doing dishes.
Uh-huh.
And we did this rope thing where the whole point was you had to hold hands to get across the rope. Like, and the whole leadership thing was like, hey, you've got to work together. It's not just about doing it by yourself.
And I'm glad, and you answered this perfectly because it was set up because I wanted to talk about how bad these kids are at the leadership part of it.
It's not good.
Because I mean, listen, whatever they end up stumbling upon this alien that has these 3 alien rocks that seems to infect and hurt humans, gets them sick and all this other shit. But it doesn't hurt Naomi, but she ends up going ahead and finds out that they're hiding, but then they keep cutting back to them doing these team building exercises, and they always suck at them.
Yeah, I think this team needs some team building exercises for real. They need to not go and do Scooby Gang stuff. They need to actually get the lessons imparted in the team building. And actually, I'm lying. The most important thing I took from that weekend I was away, and this is actually something I use all the time in my life. I can't believe I didn't think about it. Was they taught me how to listen and then repeat what I think I just heard to make sure I understood. And I literally do that in every goddamn conversation, unless I'm drunk. Then I'm not listening to you at all, and I'm just talking for the sake of talking. But every other time, I will do that. I'll listen, and I'll repeat back to make sure I understood it, and then we will move on.
And I think that's a good lesson to learn because, it helps you out in life.
It's a great skill. It's a great lesson to learn. None of these fucking kids learned that. All these kids learned was how to Scooby around and look for aliens. And, I have to admit, I'm not really liking this show.
I was going to say my criticism of this show, I think, before we get to the actually kind of cool stuff, was even though I just admitted that I am curious to know why they broke up, for real, but I don't know why. I think it's because this show is like what I envisioned a CW show to be that wasn't related to the DC universe.
Yes, that is exactly
drama,
what it is.
A teen high school drama, and that's it.
Exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, except she has superpowers.
And do you think they're being, because you get, I can see, I think we nailed this from episode 1. We knew this was going to be a slow burn because they set it up. Do you think they're being too vague with these clues or maybe dragging certain things out? Because I feel like they really don't give you enough to really hook you in all the time.
Yeah, if there is a larger plan,
Yeah.
and I have no reason to believe there isn't. So because I don't think this is sloppily written. I don't like it, but I don't think it's poorly written. I
No.
want to be clear. Uh, so if they've got a plan and they're kind of like letting it unfurl slowly, it's too slow. Because I don't
Yeah.
care at this point. Like I've got what are we? We're 5 episodes in, right?
Hmm.
And I have a 6 episode rule. Like I'll watch, even if I'm not liking something, if I feel that there's something there, I'll give it 6 episodes. But I'm still watching this, going, I don't, I don't really care. Like I don't. I don't love teen stuff, teen high school stuff, and this is my own personal bias because I work in a high school with
I don't blame you.
teens.
I don't blame you.
And it's not even that like it reminds me of work. It doesn't actually, because none of these kids sound
No.
or look or do anything like real teenagers. Which is what I don't like about it. But you're right. This is like a CW show for like a teen thing, and maybe what they're trying to do is say, okay, we have this audience of superhero nerds. We have this audience of teens who like these teen shows, and let's marry it together.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to begrudge them that, but I don't like it. And
No,
I guess that's
I
where I
just,
stand.
yeah, I just think maybe there's a chance that we're not necessarily maybe just in the demographic
No, that's what I'm saying.
they're aiming for, but we're covering it because it does fall under our
Yep.
purview.
I'm
But
not
whatever.
the audience for this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not badly done. It's not badly written. It's not badly acted. There's nothing I could point out to say this is terrible. But it's not for me. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Again, as we learned 2 nights ago, there's worse things we could have watched. But and
I'm so sorry.
And then hold on, and in Jason's defense, right? Because we're referring to the last movie we covered on Double O Deep Dive, and we covered the 1967 Casino Royale. So if you haven't checked it, you can check that out and watch me get really mad for like about a half an hour.
Oh yeah, I think Ed, you literally were like, I didn't take notes for this movie. And I was like, okay. And you're like, I didn't want to take notes for this movie. And I was like, all right, man, that's cool.
I was trying to have as much fun with it as I could, but yeah, you can see that. But we also covered worse shit on this show. I mean, we did the Amazing Spider-Man 2. We did the Amazing Spider-Man. We did Batman and Robin not too long ago. So whatever. Listen, good with the bad.
Yeah, that's it.
But I think the cool shit from this episode, though, to say the truth, besides like there's a thing where the McDuffies, who are Naomi's parents, they're covering up because that DOD got a hold of her rock where she landed on Earth on and stuff. So that was cool, but they obviously find out at the end, because I'm also wondering, like, where's the security cameras in this place? And of course, at the end, the guy checks the footage. Colonel Steele or General Steele, whatever his name is, ends up finding out. So there's that. But I actually thought the most interesting thing was Dee and the gentleman from the car dealership whose name.
Thought that was cool too.
Yeah, so we found out that they go ahead and they have a pact and they had a working relationship, and they also were like, hey, we need to chase down this bounty hunter. And then they refer to things in Dee's past that maybe he's softened up now, that maybe he was like kind of ruthless at one point. But Dee also mentioned that he fought alongside Superman.
Yeah.
At some point. But they also they mention the Phantom Zone.
They do, because that's what they send the bounty hunter, right? They send him to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, so I mean they're gonna confirm eventually that Superman sighting in the first episode was legit. And I mean, unfortunately, that's not supposed to be Tyler Hodgkin, but we're gonna get another Superman,
which I'm fine.
Which I'm fine with. Whatever. If you're gonna insist on doing it again, just do it good. That's all. Could get another good one. But then also that the bounty hunter has a list that he has on him, and they capture it. And on that list is the woman that Dee referred to recently that he left the Earth for. So she's on the shit list, and you can tell his reaction. Where I think they're obviously going to follow up with that more. Yeah, that's what hooked me in this episode.
Yeah, no, that was cool stuff. I mean, I don't hate any of this. It's just not for me. I like the guy who owns a car dealership. I'm really interested to see if this Thanagarian, that's what they're called, right? The Hawk people, is Hawkman, which I do suspect. I do suspect this is going to be like our version of Hawkman, because I don't. It's not going to be like, I think they're doing something different with the DC here. So like I think eventually we'll get Superman 2, and it's going to be a different take on Superman. So there are things I'm interested in, but it's so teenagery, and that's what gets me. And I don't know, like it takes me out too when they have these moments of when they're talking and they're using like teenage slang. Like
yeah, that's great. Yeah,
it takes me right out of it. I don't know. It's not even because it's wrong. It's not, but it feels written and forced, unless unless it's authentic. Teenage slang or slang feels written and forced to me. I don't know.
We're gonna get a special teenage correspondent who watches the show, and then we're gonna have them come on and talk about Naomi with us every week.
Look, please, and I want this person to tell me exactly why I'm wrong in every way. You know what I mean? They can tell me exactly why I've lost touch and why I'm old. I'm in for it.
Oh boy, that's good. All right, so then with no streaming service thing, we're gonna continue our Batman rewatch, and we get to our.
Before we do that, can I show you? I dug this up. My Moon Knight action figure.
Oh, that's
ready
cool.
For the Moon Knight show.
Okay.
Comics accurate. Because I have some time off this week, so I've been going through my action figures and dusting them off and redoing some stuff. So I just wanted to show that one.
All right. No, that looks pretty cool. Actually, that suit's a little bit different from the one that we're getting on the show. So but I like
it is,
that one.
Yeah, but it's cool. I like it. It's more it's comic book. That's what it is.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we'll get to that. So we continue our Batman rewatch, and we are up to the ending of the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy with The Dark Knight Rises, and we got someone who's going to be joining us, who absolutely adores this film and loves talking about it every chance he gets. Tim Tabala.
Me?
You?
Me? No, that ain't me. Wait, what the hell is Naomi?
You ask that every episode that you're on, by the way,
and nobody answered me. What is?
No, I told you it's the new CW show that they dropped. She's a superhero, but they're just like DC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she like her link. She has a link to Superman because she's like a Superman they call her Superman Stan in a way, and she like runs the third most popular Superman site on her planet or whatever, or her universe. And she's like obsessed with Superman. So,
all right, whatever.
There you go. Yeah.
I wanted to throw a question at you before you do the Batman thing, because I've been thinking about it like for 3 days now.
Okay.
And I know we discussed it when we discussed Spider-Man a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to throw it out there again. I don't know. Let me put it this way. I don't think Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Peter Parker, had an Uncle Ben.
No, he does reference.
No,
he never referenced Uncle. He never referenced Uncle Ben. He just references something bad that happened that he couldn't stop. It never references Uncle Ben though.
But doesn't
May say Uncle Ben at some point?
No,
I think she says your uncle. I'm pretty sure she does at some point.
No.
But I know for a fact though that in the beginning of Spider-Man Far From Home, that he has the suitcase that has Ben Parker's initials.
The suitcase.
Yeah.
But how come it's never mentioned then?
Because I think they kind of just really want to stay clear.
I'm talking about in the third one. How come in the third one, when they're all talking about Uncle Ben dying, he didn't just throw out like, wow, all our Uncle Bens are dead? Uncle Ben has to die in every universe.
Well, I think what they do is they were specifically talking about moments that made them become Spider-Man, like that drove them to do it. That was my interpretation of it. And that wasn't the moment for this Peter Parker. Like this, and technically his Aunt May dying was his moment to really, really become like Spider-Man. If that makes sense, like Spider-Man, like instead of like kind of being like a teenager, So
I'll go with it.
No, it's a good question, Tim. That's actually a legit question.
I've read somewhere that that these 3 movies are the Spider-Man prequels. Like, this is how he becomes Spider-Man. Like, we don't get the Uncle Ben origin story. We get this multi-layered steps to how he becomes who he is.
Well,
So
me and Jackson, we snuck into the ending of the movie again, just for the hell of it the other day. And I was sitting there watching. I was like, he never mentioned it once. I know in Civil War he says, when the bad thing happened and you couldn't stop it, that's why he does what he does. But I don't know. I just thought it was weird. I did forget about the suitcase part, though.
The suitcase part was like a big highlight thing that people were spotting out when the trailer dropped. Yeah. And then in the movie, you can see that it's when he's packing to go to. I
don't know. I think they just could have thrown a little tiny reference because he had to be young. May is young. He had to be like a young,
Yeah.
And what happened to him? Did he get shot? Did he get stabbed? Did he fall from a building? Did he
go out for a pack of cigarettes and never come home?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he just left and never came back. We don't know.
Well, what he says is, though, he says when the bad things happen. Yeah. I'm going to tell you the truth. I think his Uncle Ben may have just kind of died and that was it.
Oh,
like,
you know what?
It could have been anything. Literally could have been like cancer or something.
Maybe he died in the attack on New York.
Possibly. They would have mentioned. I think they would have mentioned that.
I mean,
I think that I mean that would be interesting.
All right, you're right. They would.
I gotta believe that they would have mentioned that. That seems like something, and that would have been made a lot of sense.
Well, no, it couldn't have because it had to have happened while he had his powers. Because he says you can't stop it. I couldn't stop it.
Right. Okay.
So along the lines of the other two Spider-Men who ignored the bank robber who ended up killing Uncle Ben. Well, whatever.
I guess that's why we're getting like Spider-Man freshman year, right? We're getting that show on.
Yeah, that's going to be Disney? an animated show for Disney Plus. And I don't know how they're going to get into it though, because I'm sure they'll reference it, but I still don't think I think the driving point is Aunt May dying in this movie that really catapults.
Oh yeah, that's why I was questioning only because
sure.
She's the Uncle Ben.
Yeah, pretty much
in that universe. Yeah, so I didn't know if there was really an Uncle Ben. All right, I get it.
Yeah, my guess is they might say Uncle Ben. Again, it could have been cancer, or it could have. I mean, who knows? It could have been anything.
I'll roll with it.
Okay. Were you here for that question, or are you here to talk about the movie too?
I'll hang out for Dark Knight. I'll hang out.
Oh, what are you? Okay.
I was here for that question, but I'll hang out for it.
It's up to you, man. It's totally up to you.
No, I'll stick. I'll stick to hear you guys defend this piece of shit.
Who said anything about defending anything?
Yeah, I
don't you guys love this movie?
Well, I guess we'll talk about it. Let's find out.
I thought I was the only one who didn't like this movie.
No, Tim, let's discuss whether we like this movie or not.
Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
All right, so I did the rewatch, and for me, this movie has been a roller coaster. I the first time I saw it, it was opening night. Tim, you probably were with us. We saw it we saw the whole trilogy. It was a marathon.
Well, I was with you guys.
Yes, Jason. Actually, you were there too.
Yeah.
So we saw it then. And I think for me, this movie was kind of like, I liked it at first. And I kind of think it was because it was like one long running movie. I didn't differentiate the ending of The Dark Knight and then the beginning of The Dark Knight Rises.
Same here.
Which in some ways is a good thing because it is a sequel and it continues the story. And I think that's one of the strengths of the film, that it does continue the story. It's not like it didn't know what happened beforehand. But then over rewatches, and I know Tim and I chatted about it over the years, and then the Swiss cheese holes started poking through here and there, and then I started getting annoyed with it, and then I was done with it, and then the mocking of the Bane voice kicked in, and then, that was done fairly quickly. It's difficult for me to take him seriously when I watched this movie. So I was going to do the whole review and like that, but I don't think anyone wants to hear that. We'd probably everyone would shut off and I'd be getting it. But this time around, I rewatched this yesterday, and there are a lot of good things in this movie, but there's also some incompetence in this movie that pisses me off. And we were just lauding Batman Begins and The Dark Knight for Tim's actual quote is the details. The details in the first two movies are so on point, and they take the time to do that. This movie, there starts to be some hand waving here and there, and that's when I started getting annoyed with it. But that's where I think the problems are, is that this is part of the Dark Knight trilogy. If this was the follow-up to Batman Returns, I would probably like it more. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I don't. I don't think it's great. And the first two are great. I mean, Tim, maybe you could say, and I know you're, and I'm glad you're here for this because I know you're a defender of The Godfather 3, right?
Yeah.
You are, but even by your reaction, you could admit that there's problems.
I think it's underrated, but I don't think it deserves the hatred that it gets.
Okay,
that's all I mean by it. Yeah.
So would Jason, or Tim, am I crazy for somewhat comparing The Godfather and The Godfather 2 to Batman Begins and The Dark Knight when it comes to the comic book DC, genre? Like those two are two of the best movies that we've gotten in the genre. Now, I'm not comparing it directly to The Godfather, but you know what I mean. Like that's the analogy.
Oh yeah, the first two are fantastic, and the third one was
Yeah, Tim, I think you admit like this movie isn't like the worst thing you've ever seen, but I think that's part of the reason why this movie gets some shit is because it follows up the other two. That's part of it. I mean, and we'll get into the details. Jason, we talked about this. We were talking about it last week, and it's funny because I think we almost flipped.
We flipped. Like, we absolutely flipped here.
So go ahead. Share. What are your overall thoughts with you rewatching this just today?
So I just rewatched it today, and it's funny because I actually came into this episode in that rewatch thinking I was going to be defending this movie because there are things I love about this movie, and there are still things I love about this movie. But looking at it analytically as a cohesive movie, it's not a good cohesive movie. It's not terrible. Like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, as you said, but it's Batman Begins is a great cohesive movie from start to finish. So is Dark Knight. This isn't. This is almost 3 hours, guys. The fuck are we doing here for 3 hours here? And it has so many characters and so many uninteresting characters, and it just, rewatching it this time, it really lost. And I've adjusted my list, Ed, because I sent you my list halfway through the watch today, and it actually it dropped one because
oh my.
And it's again, it's not because it's not that I hate this movie. I think it's entertaining, but just looking at like divorcing what I love about it, and we'll talk about what I love about it when we get there, from the problems I feel the movie has as a movie, I had to be fair.
Okay. Tim, your overall thoughts. What are your, before we get into details, because we'll do our usual thing where we'll hit the characters and we kind of look at it through that, and then just anything specific. But what's your deal with it? Like, do you really hate this movie? Do you like?
I don't find it rewatchable to me. Like, I don't ever sit around one day, even when it comes on TV, like, oh, let me put this on. It's just like there.
Okay.
I mean, I've watched it a couple times. I try to force myself. Please like this movie. You should really like this movie because it's still the same characters. It's still the same director. It's still the same continuing story. But I just can't force myself into liking the movie. Okay. There's just so much. Again, like you said, the details with the first two, he made everything seem like this could actually happen. And even a little detail like I said, this movie gets away from that. But like Catwoman's ears are not really ears. They're the goggles. That's this little detail that is like a real world detail that I dug. So I had no problem with that. But then it's like, then all the other shit that happens, like, okay, you're losing it a little bit here. You're going off a little bit off the deep end. So I mean, I never sat down, like I never came home one day and be like, damn, I want to watch The Dark Knight Rises. Never. Like I said, I could watch Batman and Robin over and over for the comedic value. This, I can't even, let's say, let's want to make fun of Bane. That's all I can really do. I can do the Bane. I'll do the Bane voice for 3 hours and then be happy about that. But other than that, I really don't even want to watch it. I mean, it takes an hour for Batman to even show up, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to get into, and I think that's a perfect segue because this is a Batman movie, so of course we're going to start off with Batman. You're right. That's a perfect point to start off. I think it was about like the 45 to 50 minute mark before we see Batman in this movie. Yeah. And he's really not in a lot of it, but the story does make sense of why he's not, because he literally gets his back broken, which in the comics is like an iconic thing now, a big thing in the timeline. I mean, it is though, Jason, whatever.
I know.
It is.
BS. It's BS. I hate it. I hate all of it, but go ahead.
Yeah.
That's
So
my personal.
no,
problems,
I
that's
understand.
all.
I know you hate Bane.
I do hate Bane.
Just just as a character ever.
He got his
Yes,
back
for
broken
sure.
by a superhuman with venom. This is just a roided up 5'3" guy. Got a major problem with that. I have a major problem with Tom Hardy. I really do.
We'll get to him because he'll be the second character that we get into. But as far as Batman goes, I mean, yeah, he gets his back broken. He's, the whole thing. The thing I liked about his story arc, though, in this, and Batman, I don't think is the problem in this movie for me, like, at all. I actually like his arc, and I think it very much brings me back to, why do we fall? So we can learn to bring ourselves back up. And that they obviously show that scene. They literally go back to it and slam you in the face with it to make sure you remembered that from the first movie. And I think that's kind of like his whole arc in this movie is that he gets back and he gets back off the schneid and, he's dealing with a lot of the choices that were made at the end of the last movie. And that's also something that a lot of people seem to knock this movie for is because some people feel like it undoes the Dark Knight. Like the big choice that was made at the end. I've heard that and I've read that. I don't feel that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that.
But
no, it doesn't. It's just that guess what? Sooner or later it was going to come out at some point. And, Bane chooses to expose it and everyone finds about Harvey Dent and, and Batman deal with the repercussions of that. His relationship with Catwoman, with Selena Kyle, I think that'd be more an accurate way to describe her in this film. I like it. I guess he sees more in her than, she's letting on, or maybe she even believes, so he believes in her more than she does, even though she totally fucks him over badly. Like she is the reason why a lot of this shit happens.
Yes.
The lifting of the fingerprints, the whole bringing him to Bane and locking him in there with him. But yeah, his arc, and then he takes it takes what 5 months for him to recover in the prison because they say his vertebrae is out of place. That's what they're saying happened. And there's that thing. If I'm Bane, why am I leaving that to chance that this is gonna? I mean, I know the idea is to keep him alive so he can be mentally tortured, but are you still gonna? He's Batman.
I mean,
this.
I'm going to be honest with you. That is one of my lower problems with this movie because it's why do any of this is really like to be honest, if you look at this, and this is my big problem with this movie is this is a comic book movie. And the first two weren't, right? Who did we get in the first movie? Ra's al Ghul was a terrorist organization who destroyed Gotham City with the League of Shadows, and he was employing a crooked psychiatrist who became the Scarecrow, right? Nothing crazy. I mean, crazy, yes, but in the vein of these comic book movies, nothing crazy.
And possible.
Like I said, possible.
Possible.
Yes.
I mean, the Scarecrow part, a guy could throw a mask on, but hey, I'm a Scarecrow.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's where they were going with this, right? Because it was all psychotropic drugs and all that stuff. And then the second one, it is literally just someone who is an anarchist, who's lost his mind, who is going to prove that everyone can be corrupted with one bad day. And again, doable, realistic, believable. But here we have there's Bane and there's League of Shadows and there's Talia al Ghul and there's all these chess moves upon chess moves and the plot is just it's so ridiculous. It's so comic book what they're trying to do and the many layers of it. It's just that's my problem with this movie. It just feels like such a comic book movie.
Well, it's because essentially Talia al Ghul is trying to, finish her father's mission.
Yeah,
and picks it up, which that part I'm fine with. I don't think that's that crazy, but
no, but the craziness, it's not the plan. It's the so we're going to so we have to understand that Bruce Wayne built this thing that can be turned into a bomb. And now Talia al Ghul has to get him to show it to her, while Bane has to get in there to use it. And they all have their own separate, and everyone, is doing their own thing. It's just so involved is my problem.
Okay. All right.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's just such an involved plan. And then even when Bane takes over, it's we're going to make them all think they have time, but we're really going to kill them in 5 months. And it's okay, but why?
Just kill them now.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like, why do you need to make Bruce Wayne suffer that badly? Where, like, just fucking nuke Gotham into the Stone Age if that's what you want to do. It was just, there were just so many unnecessary steps that I didn't get.
And that's fair, and that's the thing. They literally give Batman 5 months to recover and give him 5 months of prep time to take them down. And I mean, but Tim, though, is that not the case? Do they literally give him 5 months to come back and to take them all down? And he obviously does.
Yeah. And see, my problem, I said, we'll start with that, is I have no problem with him not being Batman for 8 years. That's the end of the second one. Harvey Dent was the hero. He died. The city stepped up and said, we're not taking this bullshit anymore. We're gonna take care of our own. We don't need a goddamn vigilante. He disappears. No problem with that.
Well, he was also wanted for murdering.
Oh no, I'm saying no. I have no problem with Batman vanishing. Mm-hmm. I do have a major problem with Bruce Wayne hobbling around his fucking mansion by himself for 8 years. I have a major problem with that. I understand he's mentally screwed up because of Rachel, all that stuff, but 8 years, dude. 8 years. And then he has his bad leg and his bad back that miraculously gets fixed with a brace when he needs it to be fixed. It's
you're right.
No, it's like no. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like they just, I don't know. They try to get cute all of a sudden. Why not put the brace on 8 years ago?
Yeah,
fix it. But no, he said he's hobbling around this castle for 8 years doing nothing.
Or maybe Lucius Fox builds him some sort of thing to, like, I don't know, like something to keep himself like intact. Because I kind of feel like they felt obligated to break his back because Bane was in the movie. They had to do that.
Right.
Whatever.
Then they could have done, if they really wanted to do it well, they could have done Lucius Fox builds him sort of like a mecha bat suit, like he used when he got his back broken at one point, right? But he also does this in Dark Knight Rises, or
because
not Dark Knight, you know what I mean? Dark Knight
Azrael breaks his back.
Yeah,
and then after that, he does need like a suit. So you could have just done that. I mean,
they could have done that because I'm with you, Tim. I don't understand why it was like, okay, so I'm in 8 years, and he goes to the doctor, and it's like, you've got no cartilage in your legs, and this and that, and it's like, okay, you're belaboring the point that this man cannot do this anymore, but he's going to go out and do it and still survive, and I need to have something else to go, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because it doesn't with what we see.
Yeah. But I think let's save because the other thing to talk about with Batman and Bruce Wayne would be the ending. Yes, I think let's hold that off until we get through the characters, because there's a whole lot to talk about with the ending of this film, and it's been something speculated a lot. So I guess the next character to talk about is Bane. Almost the main villain of it, because we find out Talia al Ghul is the one and Bane's kind of like a henchman. But we'll talk about Bane. The voice is distracting. The voice
is terrible. It's terrible.
I don't know why they decided to do that, and it's been mocked on a Harley Quinn show now, and it's been pretty much mocked by everyone.
And although I do want to say this, I was watching this movie today, and I actually get the exact moment that Harley Quinn is mocking this Bane in the Harley Quinn show, because he's like an over the top pencil pushing office manager pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. And I was watching it, and when they pull Jim Gordon into Bane's lair, he's like, "You brought him here, why? Oh, I'm going to kill him, and then you're going to search him, and I'm going to kill you." Like, that's a shitty boss.
Yeah.
Like, Harley Quinn was mocking this moment and saying, yeah, let's just make Bane a really shitty micromanaging boss. And that's what he is in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing Tom Hardy does do well in this movie, though, is that for someone whose face is covered up for most of the film, with his eyes, you can kind of see a lot of intensity and stuff, and a lot of scenes, and he brings a lot of physicality to the role, which we don't really get. It's the first villain we get in this trilogy where can literally kick Batman's ass. I mean, and he does, but they also belabor, like you said, that he's a broken down Batman at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can kind of factor that in. The connection to the League of Shadows is fine. That he was like excommunicated.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm okay with him meeting Talia al Ghul in the prison and like protects her and stuff like that. I actually don't have any issues with that. It's just the voice is the most distracting thing for me, and his choices at times are just goofy. Like again, giving Batman all this time if he didn't know that was Batman and if he did this to Bruce Wayne, I can kind of understand it. But he knows he's Batman.
Yeah,
he knows what he's accomplished apparently because we're assuming he has all this information because Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows had all of this. There's no other way he would have known any of this.
You know my biggest problem with Bane is one of my biggest problems. He's so overwritten.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a scene in the beginning when they hijack the plane, right? And then he grabs the doctor and he's like, "This is not a time to fear, doctor. Fear comes later." Like he has these lines where it's like he's supposed to be the big bad cock of the walk, you know? And it just doesn't sit well with me. And he has a lot of them. He has a lot of them in this movie. You should do it.
You should just do the whole show. You should do a show as Bane.
I wanted to, but then again, I think it would get annoying after a while. But
that'd be great if it changed your voice, though.
The glasses make it, man.
The glasses make it perfect.
Since we're talking about Bane, now is the time to bust out the voice. The voice is very distracting throughout the film.
It is
completely unnecessary. As it is in a podcast talking about the film, it is unnecessary. But when Gotham falls, you have my permission to die. Another choice that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Again, you're giving him all this time, and it's just silly.
And again, that's another one of those lines. You have my permission to die. It's like, God, dude, you're like a B-list fucking Batman villain. Sit down.
And the way he's taken out by Catwoman, I think is the perfect way for him to go out. Two big missiles or two big guns on the side of the bat pod. Boom! He's dead.
You know my problems already.
Yeah.
Again, I understand it. You know what? Because he was trained by the League of Shadows, I get it. It's the younger, stronger guy beating up old man. All right, I get it. But like you said, finish the guy off. You see what he done in his couple years as Batman. I mean, and not only that, though, imagine him telling Talia goes like, "All right, kill him, and let's get this over with. We'll destroy Gotham." No, we must wait. How long? 5 years. What? We must wait 5 whole years before we can kill him. What the fuck are you talking about? Kill him! Kill him now! 5 months. I'm sorry, 5 months. That's what I meant. Sorry, my bad.
We need to give him a sporting chance.
Yeah, we must give him at least 5 months before we do anything. 5 months? What the hell are you talking about?
It makes absolutely no sense.
No, none.
So is there anything else we need to talk about with Bane before we move on to Selina Kyle?
I hate everything about Bane. Just saying.
My. I don't know if I should take that personally now or not.
Also, you know what I hate Bane too? Because his very first comic book, if I remember correctly, was the one in which he breaks Batman's back. And it's like, come on, guy, you just come out breaking Batman's back. Get out of here.
All I know is for I think the first month after I saw this movie, I only kept saying the one line over and over again, and to the point where I thought I was going to go insane. And that line was, "It doesn't matter who we are. All that matters is our plan." And I must have said that a million. I even downloaded the voice changer on the phone, and I was going, "It doesn't matter who we are." I would say it over and over again. But I think that's why I always lost my mind because of that. So
I posted it on our Granny's PC a couple of times, and if you haven't seen it, check out the Aural Knots YouTube page. They do great Star Wars stuff. I know Tim has seen a bunch. And there's 3 videos from Bane outtakes. There's the holiday edition, and then there's one about masks. Now, since like with COVID, you knew it was kind of going to fall right up his alley, so it's actually so well done. And there's even a behind the scenes on how they did the voice. And a lot of it was through empty paper towel tube for the guy was doing the voice again like too. Which is why its best works when you talk into a cup. But I guess I will say though it's not the worst on-screen Bane that we've seen because we saw that in Batman and Robin because I don't even know what that was. That was something.
That was not Bane. This was at least Bane.
That was a guy in a puppet suit.
Yeah,
it was so weird. And the thing though, I know Tim you mentioned before is you wanted him to have the Venom serum that's in it, but I think having that and
I wanted an excuse for him for being as strong and as he was, but you know what? Like I said, after a while, you're right. Batman's been broken down. He's been beaten up, which is the realism of the thing.
Yeah.
And he's the younger, faster, stronger guy who lived in the dark for his whole life and came out stronger and meaner and angrier.
Yeah.
So I let it go. I don't need the Venom anymore because now it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, because I think if they would have had his mask be something where it's like juicing him up with steroids or some shit like that.
Plus if he was just a roided out dude, just a regular guy, but the fact that he was trained by the same people, I let that go. I was like, okay, he can do it without the Venom. It makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess.
Although I do like that the mask still has a purpose. Like,
yeah, they do mention it.
Yeah, like it is what makes him not be in constant pain. Like there's something they never go into it, but I like that the mask still has a purpose. Not that it's just an accoutrement. Like I just like sounding like this. You know what I mean?
And what exactly is the purpose of the mask, though?
Because he was attacked when he was protecting Talia as a kid. And they did something where he's in constant pain, and they put the mask stops that. They don't really go. It's a hand wave thing, but that's the purpose.
It is a hand wave thing, but it's also. I mean, I would have liked more of an explanation, but I don't really need it.
I haven't seen this movie enough to really to remember that part. But okay,
that's fair. I just watched it today, so
I watched it again yesterday. I don't know how many times I've seen it quite a few times. But then I guess let's talk about Selina Kyle. Let's talk about Catwoman. Like I mentioned before, though, she does have a couple of huge things to do in this film, which is why she's in it. I actually like Selina Kyle in this movie. She's unlike Michelle Pfeiffer. She's actually a cat burglar and is stealing things and steals the pearls that we've seen hit the floor a bunch of times. Because in this version, the pearls didn't hit the floor and shatter all over the place. They actually still exist. So. I don't know, and then Anne Hathaway does a good job with what she's, asked to do in this, and I'm fine with that. I mean, she seems like she's villainous at times enough where she's like wants to maybe watch the world burn and stuff like that, and maybe she's okay with the way things are, but then once it turns that way, she's like, oh shit, all right, maybe this is not what I wanted. And her whole thing is she wants this clean slate thing because she's got in too deep with the wrong people, and she's trying to get out of it because she's done a bunch of fucked up shit to people. And she does have that whole thing where she kidnaps, I believe it's a lieutenant or something like that. It was a high-ranking official.
Senator, wasn't he?
Senator. Oh yeah, it was like a senator, and kind of has him whipped for a little while he's like kidnapped. But I don't know. I think she's cool. And then when she becomes a Batman ally, she does kick ass and she kills Bane. I mean, she murders the dude straight up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I'm good with her. Actually, I don't remember liking her this much, but I liked her more this time.
I like her. I do like her in this. I actually really like that scene where she brings the senator into the bar to trade Bruce Wayne's fingerprints for nothing. Like they don't actually have what she's looking for. But I like her acting where it was like, yeah, we're fine. Oh, he's bleeding. I thought that was super cool. I like her as Catwoman. My only issue with Catwoman in this movie is I wish they weren't trying so hard to make her redeemable bad guy, like I don't mind that she was a redeemable bad guy. They were just trying so hard. Like everything she did was to get the clean slate, and there's so much talk about because that's a theme in this movie, like the rich versus the poor, and it's an interesting theme that I don't think they do enough with because this movie is long and splintered. I think this movie is really two different movies in one, but but the whole thing about like she is poor and she made those choices and had no other choice. Like, I think they really try to hammer that in, and I kind of wish they just let her be Catwoman more, because that's not exactly like Catwoman does have this dark side to her, which we see, but they're really trying to make her a hero here.
But do you think maybe that's how Catwoman has kind of been portrayed for a little while now, though? Like, I feel like they've pushed her more towards the hero or the conflicted anti-hero.
Even in the video games too, she's way more hero than.
But
you even use her in the video games as a hero.
No, but which is fine. But what I'm saying is, it's that she's more of a conflicted person in the video games. So I played the shit of those video games, and there's literally a mission where you can, as Catwoman, it's the only time you can do this, choose to not help Batman and leave, and you get an ending to the game where you watch Gotham City be destroyed and it reverses back. And the whole point is like, in all of those other incarnations, she is a hero, but she's not a forced hero. It's not like, oh, I have to redeem myself. It's more like, this is who I am, but I also am choosing to be better. And I don't feel the choice. Like, this feels like I was forced to be bad, and now I'm being forced to be worse so I can get my record clean. And I don't know. I just think the motivation just seems off with what I know about Catwoman. That's all.
Okay. But I do. One thing I do like the working relationship. The stuff with her and Bruce, I actually dug.
I agree.
I thought it was actually really, really well done. Oh wow. Okay, that's funny. We do got a comment in here that we're gonna get to quickly. Cops with guns. Let's fist fight. I actually think that was a scene that does kind of piss me off in a way, but there is cops getting mowed down by Bane's army with the machine guns. There is a bunch that get shot before. Now, I don't know why they stopped shooting or anything like that. I mean, it could have been a total shootout in that situation, because the cops all had their guns and their weapons, and so did Bane's army. So I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. That's all I can say. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an inconsistency. It's an inconsistency I can look over, but it's an inconsistency for sure.
Maybe they're just like, listen, we're too close. Too close to missiles. I'm switching to guns. So like, I'm too close to be pew-pewing. So let's just put our shit away and get it on old style. I don't know.
Gregory, thanks for tuning in, and then thanks for checking us out, and also thanks for dropping us a comment.
Appreciate it
on it. First time, but yeah, thanks, man. So I guess the next character let's talk about is John Blake, Robin, who we get in this movie. I think his character. I guess part of it I dug where
I'm gonna scratch my back during this.
No. I overall, I think the character is completely unnecessary from most of the movie, and the whole Robin thing, I think, was kind of dumb. We'll talk about the ending in a second, because the two things I kind of dug about the character was, I guess, the motivation of the boys' home, and he kind of had a whole thing of, how he was similar to Bruce. I don't like the fact he figured out who Bruce Wayne was Batman. That was ridiculous.
That's the worst part for me. Like, you came. I was an orphan. You were an orphan. You came. I saw that you were wearing a fake mask like I was wearing, and then I knew you were Batman. Like, this is a lazy movie, and that's my point. Like, there's just so many hand wavy things.
Yeah. I'm not going to buy him as the world's greatest detective.
No.
Because that's what it seems like. Yeah, Tim, I'm sorry, you were going to say something about the John Blake?
Well, I don't hate Gordon Levitt, but in this movie, he very much, it's like very, I don't want to say overacting. It's almost like he underacts in a way. It's kind of I don't know, it's very hard to describe his performance, but I did not like it at all.
No.
And yeah, his whole bullshit story and again, I think we've had this discussion for the last how many years the movie's been out. At the end, when we get to the end, we'll discuss it. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't like him at all in this movie. And this is when he was supposed to be everything. Remember, this guy was supposed to be everything. Spider-Man, the next Superman, he was going to be Anakin Skywalker. He was going to be everybody. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Then he vanished off the face of the earth. So whatever.
Yeah, but I actually like him in other movies, just not really in this one.
I don't hate him. I don't really hate him. I was just tired of him being everything.
Yeah, I agree.
There was like 6 months to a year where he was like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's going to be the new Spider-Man. He's going to be this guy. He's like, dude, no, he's not. He's not. Stop.
Yeah, no. Apparently, Greg didn't like him either, or his portrayal. There's a couple of good movies that'll pop out. Like,
the whole character sucked.
Yeah,
the character.
That's what it is. It's the character that sucked.
Yeah,
like
it's unnecessary character.
It was completely unnecessary, and it was all like, again, it felt like, not again, but it felt like fan service almost. Like, we've got to give him a Robin, and like even when, so it's him who finds Gordon after Gordon's been like thrown into the water by Bane, and then he puts together that he's got to get Batman, and then Gordon promotes him on the spot, and it was just so much like, why is this guy so special?
Yeah,
who is this guy a real character from a comic or anything? The cartoon or anything? No, right?
Robin?
No,
John Blake. No,
John Blake.
Oh, yeah. Not that I know.
See, so now if you're gonna go fan service, name him Dick Grayson, name him Timothy Drake. If that's what you're gonna do, don't invent a whole new character just to be hated, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Greg. Yeah, I agree with you. They pretty much, but that's where our thing with this movie is that the first two films were not. They didn't feel like comic book movies, and this one suddenly feels like it's like, oh, we got to start throwing things in there to do some comic book type stuff.
Right.
And I know Christopher Nolan was asked, I think it may have been during Batman Begins or something, maybe the press for that. He said there will never be a Robin during his run. And of course,
and then here we are,
last second,
because it's not realistic. Yeah, because I said
exactly.
These movies were the first two were based on what happened if a guy decided to be Batman. He made it realistic. No way in real life would a man take a teenager and make him his sidekick and send him out on missions to fight evil people. So yeah, it made sense.
And Greg, thankfully they did, because
yes.
I don't know if you watched our episode when we talked about Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, the Bat Nipple movies, but you can go and check those out and enjoy that, because that was something else. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the whole Robin thing at the end is goofy and stuff, and we'll talk about the ending in a couple of minutes overall, because there's a lot to unpack there. I guess also we could talk about Talia al Ghul. Who is another one who's like a bait and switch, where it's like a reveal, and the twist was it was Talia al Ghul the whole time. The one thing she does in this movie that I think is completely perplexing is after Bruce loses all his money, of course, John Blake drops him off there because he just appears when he needs a ride. His car is taken away. She's just there, standing there in the rain, talks to Bruce, doesn't really explain why she's there, and they just... Jason, what did he
get it on?
There's no payoff to it.
No.
There's no nothing. Bruce, she even picks up a picture of Rachel Dawes, and that's like a trigger thing for Bruce that's right there. And it just seemed like it was totally out of left field and out of character for both of them.
Yeah.
In general, you hate this guy so much. You have this elaborate plan to avenge your father's death, and you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to do this for the hell of it.
But you know why, though? Because she's Talia al Ghul. And what do we know? What does anyone who's never picked up a Batman comic know about Talia al Ghul? She got it on with Batman, so it has to be in this movie. And that's why it feels like weird fan service instead of an actual movie.
Yeah, I agree. It seems very fan servicey that Christopher Nolan didn't really do any of that in the first two movies. So
no,
I don't know why
there was no fan service. I don't think he wanted to do this movie is the thing.
I think from what I understand, this movie was just not it. Once Heath Ledger unfortunately passed away, like they had to change so many things with this, and
right,
you had to end the trilogy too. So that's sometimes why I've given this movie a pass for certain things. But like he also took a lot of time to get these movies right. So I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers would have let him off the hook, give him some more time to get this thing right.
And to be honest, watching it this time, because I've always used that Heath Ledger defense, where would Heath Ledger have fit in here? Because the Joker was not going to be the main antagonist of this movie. No. He was just going to be in this movie to a point. So
as the Scarecrow character, or the Scarecrow with the king of the underworld, the judge.
Yeah, the sentencing guy.
Yeah. And maybe that would have had a bigger part, but I can't imagine the Joker in this movie making the problems I have with this movie go
Yeah,
away.
it would just make it a cool cameo. It wouldn't make a movie better at all.
Yeah, no, I don't think that would help. But
Tim, let me ask you a question. Did you think that you and I would actually be bashing this movie when you came on this episode today?
No, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was going to go against both of you guys.
No, there's a lot of problems with this. I mean, do we have anything else on Talia al Ghul that we want to mention before we move on to Jim Gordon?
Again, it's one of those things I've said over the years too. I have a problem with the fact that you had this giant rogues gallery, and you went right back to the League of Shadows already.
Yes, same here.
I didn't like that. I mean, I understand you wanted to wrap up the, but I don't know. I don't think it was necessary. Why bring her back? Who cares? Like, this League of Shadows is done. It was done.
I thought it was wrapped up in that first movie.
Then you went to the Joker, the ultimate Batman villain. Then you had this whole litany of rogues gallery you could have picked. You could have introduced us to any one of the great new characters. Even you could have pulled off anybody, and you give us the goddamn League of Shadows again with the daughter. So I was like, I thought it was lazy. Yeah. Very, very lazy. I just thought it was very lazy.
I can see that. I can agree.
I agree.
But I guess we could also talk about Jim Gordon, because that's another area where I have some issues with this movie. Not that Gary Oldman isn't great, because Gary Oldman's great every single damn thing he does. Mm-hmm. I just think it's what he's given to do. They kind of write out his family and dismiss his family very quickly. Oh, they left to like Cleveland or some shit like that they say. And I guess it's because Jim Gordon's been so obsessed with what's going on, trying to cover up the Harvey Dent stuff and everything.
But as soon as Batman reappeared, he's like, "Get the fuck out of Gotham! Hang the phone up."
Yeah, exactly.
Batman's back. Get the fuck. Go to Cleveland.
He has this run-in with Bane, and then he's in the hospital. He sends all the GCPD into the tunnels. All of them.
All of them.
What kind of strategy is this? No shit, something was gonna happen to them down there. That's one of the most mind-boggling things that happens in this movie to me.
It would have made more sense. You're like, listen, blow the whole thing up. Just blow it up. Blow up the whole thing. If this guy's that bad that you're sending your entire police force to where there's no one to guard your entire city, just blow it up. Just blow it up.
Yeah, because I know that they mentioned there's like scattered cops around that they're being hunted like dogs at one point is what they say. That's literally the line. And I get that. That's fine. So not literally every single one to a T, but they mentioned there's an insane amount of them, like 80 or 90% of the police force is down there. Yeah. That's stupid. Come on.
And the police that are left all hide in their houses with no unit. Like, I'm out here. I ain't going to go back. Like, what's his name?
What the hell is his name?
Matthew Modine.
Yeah, Matthew Modine's character.
He's like, I'm a cop. What are you doing? I'm not going outside. You kidding?
Yeah, the only ones are Jim Gordon and Blake are the only two that are sneaking around apparently with like a couple other guys.
Yeah, which is again ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I think that's the most ridiculous thing that happens in this movie, and it's because it sets off so many different things.
Oh no, I got one. I'm waiting for the one that I got. That's the most
ridiculous. All right. But yeah, Jim Gordon's thing where they expose the whole Harvey Dent stuff, and it comes back to bite him in the ass, and I mean, that's fine. And he tells Blake, you're supposed, if you had to make that choice, and it was a hard decision to make, I still don't think it was worth doing that. I mean, again, it seems like in the end, Gotham got the hero that it had the whole time and that it did deserve in Batman, not this whole misdirect thing. But yeah, Jason, I don't know if you were able to listening or you had to step away for a second, but yeah, Jim Gordon sending the whole GCPD pretty much into the tunnels is one of the dumbest things ever.
Jim Gordon has one of my favorite moments in this movie, but he also has one of the stupidest. Like, my favorite moment of his in this movie is where he is about to watch Batman, as he believes, go to his death, and Batman, of course, has the, sometimes just putting a blanket over a child, and he has that moment of oh my god, that's Bruce Wayne. I think that
is a great moment, actually.
It's a fantastic moment. It's his best moment of the movie, but everything else with him, so you wrote a speech outing Harvey Dent, and you took it with you, decided not to read it, but brought it around so Bane could find it on your person, and you somehow survive going into the sewer And then, like, that's the thing. It's like, that's my problem with this movie. It tries so fucking hard. There's so many different leaps and bounds. It makes no sense. Like, if I was Jim Gordon, I was going to out Harvey Dent. I wouldn't have a whole speech prepared about it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's one. Even though I still think sending the whole GCPD into the tunnels. And Greg, to answer your question, yeah, they were in there for 5 months.
Yeah,
because they say Bane says it takes 5 months for this nuclear bomb to become unstable and everything, and that's when they went in, and we see when they come out when Batman and Catwoman, get them out of there.
So they ate each other then, I guess, right? Ate each other?
No, they do show where they're sneaking them food. The cops that were on the outside were sneaking them food. So they did cover that at least.
And Bane actually makes it clear he's not trying to kill them. Like, Bane says when he gives that whole public address in the stadium, like, the police will be better adapted, whatever he says. But he pretty much says the police we're not going to kill them. They'll eventually adapt to what's going on here.
They'll die when the whole city dies.
Right, exactly. So, like,
they'll die when he has his permission to die.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly it. So people were feeding them. I think you actually see them eating out of cans of beans.
No. They were covered there. But I also think that when they came out of there, they should all be like huge beards and shit like that, and like dirty and everything. That's what it should have been.
All weak, their clothes don't fit.
Yeah, that's something. I don't think they were passing them shaving cream and razors and stuff down there. Who the hell knows? Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. Whatever. That's not the biggest issue with this thing. Jason, I agree with you. Jim Gordon's best moment in this film is the ending where he puts it together that Bruce gives him the nod, and I thought that was actually a really cool callback to the first one. There are some pretty cool callbacks to the other films in this. That's one thing I'll give it as a strength is that it does very much feel like it's a sequel to the other films.
For sure.
Just not at the level of crossing the T's and dotting the I's that the other ones did.
But that setting that to this, isn't that it'd be the same as like, listen, Freddy Krueger's alive. I want everyone to go to sleep. Why?
Yes.
Why? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. It's just the kind of thing. It's like, why? Why are you sending everyone down in this fucking hole? It's baffling. And then you give Bane a speech to read. Enough with the guy's voice. It's like, here we go. Now he's got a 5-page speech to read, which is another.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
If you wanted to, that's what he should do to torture people over a loudspeaker. He just reads great literature classics.
Gregor Samsa awoke one morning to find he was a giant bug.
No, that's what I would do. No, shut up.
And I guess the last.
I actually, guys, I really want this now. Maybe we could do this as a Pop Culture Bros thing, where we could do Bane reading literature, like as an audiobook. And we could do like literature that isn't under copyright, so we can get away with it.
Sure, I'll do it.
Nothing with Prince.
No.
As we learned the hard way.
No. Prince will fuck us. I'm sorry.
Or WWF. I'm sorry. Vince nailed us hard.
Oh wow.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just like the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
Oh, low blow. Just like the Ultimate Warrior.
I guess the last character to talk about though would be Alfred.
Yes.
Who is Jason? We talked about it. Go ahead. You can go ahead and talk about Alfred. He's awesome in this movie.
He's the best thing in this movie for me. Michael Caine as Alfred is the best thing in this movie. He has the best moments and the best lines. When he tells Bruce, like, well, hypothetically, if Rachel Dawes gave me a letter that I burned and it said that she wasn't waiting for you, she chose Harvey Dent, and like when Bruce is like, you know what this means? Like, oh, I know what it means. You hate me, person I loved since the moment I heard him crying up there. Like he gives us so like it's this beautiful impassioned speech, and then at the end, like twice at the end, again at the end when he gives a speech when they bury Bruce, and he turns to the graves of the Waynes, like, oh, I tried to keep my failure. It's like. I don't know. It brought a tear to my eye.
No, he's great in that.
He's phenomenal. And then just at the end, when he sees Bruce Wayne with Catwoman, and he just goes, You know, because that's the payoff. Because he tells him like, I wished you never came back to Gotham. I always had this fantasy that I would see you in the Riviera with a wife and some kids, and I would just look at you and you'd look at me, and that would be it.
Well, I guess that, I mean, do we have anything else to talk about Alfred? Because that's a perfect segue to talk about the ending of this film, which is...
No news had a problem with the fact that he abandoned Bruce?
I don't think he necessarily...
Yeah. I don't think he
I don't
did.
know. I don't take it as he abandoned Bruce. I think that because Bruce pretty much... He tells Bruce the truth, and then Bruce is pretty much like, you think we're going to shake hands and like this was all going to be done after you just brought my world down? And he's like, no, because, I mean, there's pretty much no choice. Like, Bruce is the one who actually kind of, like, tells him to fuck off because he's pissed off at him. And then, you know, when Lucius Fox rings the doorbell the next day and he has to go answer his own door, I guess it's one of those things where you ever get so mad about something and so furious and start saying a bunch of shit, and then you go to bed and you wake up and you're like, wait, did that really happen or not?
Shit, did I actually fire Alfred? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. But Tim, I agree with you. I think when I first saw this movie, I was kind of like, that's really not an Alfred thing to do. But then after rewatching it, that's not really how it went down. Like,
I'm gonna say it is a very Alfred thing to do because of the moments that we have where Alfred is very clearly trying to shake Bruce out of going out as Batman because he knows it's going to kill him.
Yeah,
and I think he's trying everything, and I think when Alfred does that, he fucking knows what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. He's not abandoning him. That was his last-ditch effort. I'm going to make you hate me in hopes that it opens up your eyes to realize that you can't do this and it'll save your life. And I have to live without ever seeing you again. And that sucks, but at least you're alive. So I bought that, actually, from Alfred.
No, Jason, I agree with you. I did buy that from him, but I think it was just more in better context. Not like he just, like, quit and ran away. He knows what he did, and he knew what the consequences of his actions were going to be.
For sure.
And he literally does say what you just said. Like, he's trying to stop Bruce from being Batman. He's trying to encourage him to, like, dude, you don't have it anymore physically. Like, you can save the city as Bruce Wayne still. You can still do this to use your mind and find another way.
Yeah, he says what everyone always says. Like, well, why don't you just use your money and resources to make this a better place? And he literally says, like, Gotham doesn't need your body, sir. It needs your resources. And it's like, yeah, well, that's what every Batman detractor has ever said. Like, why is he out there fighting crime? Just put some money in the right places.
But in defense of that, though, I think, and maybe it's because, again, we just rewatched each one of these movies over the last couple of weeks, if you go think back to Batman Begins, when he's telling Alfred on the jet why he's going to become Batman, he wants to become a symbol. He wants to be someone who's incorruptible. Who, you know, he wants to strike fear into, you know, the fear he has partially with the bats and the anger into the criminals.
And Alfred actually does say, like, it made sense then, it doesn't now. Like, so, and I like that because Alfred does encourage him at first. Mm-hmm. And so, like, he encourages him in the first one, supports him in the second one, and in this one, he's like, "Yeah, no, you're gonna get killed." You know, and I think that's Alfred's the voice of realism. Like, you know, a guy who's it's been 8 years since he's suited up, and he's that, like, physically fucked up. No, he would be killed in real life.
Yeah, you're right. He is the voice of reason in this film when there's not a lot of it.
Right.
But so then all right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the ending of the film, where we get, you know, Batman taking the nuclear bomb and bringing it away from the city because they can't stop it. Fine, I'm good with that. But then there's does he die or not die? Because then we get the Lucius Fox moment we find out that the autopilot was fixed, but it was logged in by Bruce Wayne. So he was the one who did fix it because Lucius Fox does encourage him throughout the film to fix the autopilot. They do drop those hints here and there throughout the film. Let's talk.
The first time you see that the
bat
thing,
the
bat, he says, like, you know, there are some things that needs to be fixed for better minds than mine. And Bruce Wayne goes, better, and he goes, well, less busy, like your own.
Yeah.
Like, so they set that up right away.
They did. So, but I guess let's talk about each part of it. So that's the first part of the ending that they talk about. Does Batman die at the end of this movie?
First of all, how do you not, right before the thing closes, how does he not say, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb? Just saying, I would have threw that in there. No, I wouldn't have thrown that in.
No, you wouldn't have, because you would have walked out of the fucking theater if that would have happened. That would have been the ultimate over the top.
I definitely would have fell. I would have fallen on the floor laughing. though. That definitely would have been it. I don't know. He had to have. Where'd he go? The ocean?
I mean, yeah, he could have. The only way he gets out of that was jumping out of. They also have that shot where they show him in the cockpit right before it goes, and they do mention that it will blow up anything in like a 6-mile radius. So how the hell was he going to get far? Even if he dropped himself in the water, how was he going to get away further enough where there's no? Would he be underwater? And if he dropped himself in, he wouldn't get affected by it. I don't know.
And he swam back.
I mean, listen, he went from the prison all the way back to Gotham with no money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, if you're doing that, shit, this is a piece of cake.
And that suit with a bad back and a bad leg.
So here's the real question. Are you asking if I think Bruce, like, he survived, or if I think the movie wants me to think he survived?
Let's start with, do you actually believe he survived?
Bat skis.
I'd like to think he didn't.
He did not. Okay.
I'd like to think he didn't.
Because once we conquer this part, then it takes us to the other part of the, debatable ending.
Yeah. I think the movie intends him to live.
Okay.
I think the fact that the movie makes it a point to drop a couple of times about Bruce Wayne can fix this thing, and then he does. That is meant to set up that he survived, and the whole thing about Alfred seeing him, that was meant to have happened. So I think the movie wants us to believe that.
Okay.
I personally think it's a better ending if he doesn't, and if that's Alfred's kind of like, because Alfred's whole arc is his guilt.
Yeah,
and that's what happens at the before this. The last time we see him is he's apologizing to the Waynes for failing them, and so, like, I guess I'd like to think that this was Alfred's, like, sort of guilt coming back at him and but I think the movie intends us to think that Bruce Wayne survived, to be honest.
Yeah, I can agree. I just don't. I think, again, it's a pretty big hand wave to say he jumped out and had the autopilot keep on going, and then that was it, and he's in the water somewhere. That is a pretty big hand wave to accept. Again, when we're talking about the context of the universe that was built, and now we're just hand waving shit here and there. And then I guess that leads us to the other part of the ending, where Alfred goes to the place that he's described in his fantasy or whatever, or he says he would take a vacation and go there,
right?
And he would look across, but he actually sees Bruce with Selina Kyle there. I mean, is that a fever? I guess that's one of his fantasies that we're seeing.
Again, I think I would like to believe that's his fantasy. That's kind of him, like, this is what I wish, and he's taken that vacation. But I think the movie does intend us to believe that Bruce Wayne is alive, and that is them having a moment of closure.
Okay. And he gets to kind of like hang it up and pass it on to, we'll talk about the other part of the ending of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because he kind of wanted to do that, right? Like, that part actually would check off, right? Like, in The Dark Knight, he wanted to kind of stop being Batman and have someone else be the hero. So it kind of, his motivation would sync up with that he kind of like saved Gotham from its like worst thing, but would move on. But I also don't know if Bruce Wayne would necessarily be able to, Bruce Wayne would let that go.
Well,
or does he accept the fact that he physically can't do it, and maybe Alfred was right the whole fucking time?
Which is why he left it to Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes. John Robin Blake.
I think the movie is confused on why it does things, to be honest with you. Like, because I don't think this Bruce Wayne makes it very clear that the only reason they would stop being Batman is to be with Rachel Dawes, and Rachel Dawes is dead. That's an actual conversation in this movie. Mm-hmm. As much as I like Catwoman in this, and I like Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, the only reason they get together is because in the comic, Batman and Catwoman are getting together. Like there's nothing between them that makes me go, I see this great love.
Yeah.
And so for him to be there with her at the end, and again, I think that's what the movie wants us to believe happened. But I don't know. I don't. Yeah. Yeah,
it's fuzzy. It's fuzzy.
Yeah, it's very fuzzy. It's very fuzzy.
So, in an interview, Christian Bale did say that the ending of this movie is literally what you see. If there's any kind of like closure to it or anything, he literally said it's face value. What happens, happens, and that's it. So he's saying Bruce Wayne survived and he's off and then went into Happily Ever After with Selena Kyle in Italy or wherever the hell it was. And
which again is what I think the movie wants us to believe, but I don't think the movie does a good enough job setting it up. Again, that's where I was going before.
No, and that makes sense. And I guess the other part too is that we get the Robin reveal, and he leaves him essentially the keys to the Batcave for him to go on and to be Gotham's new protector or whatever, whether that is the next Batman or if he is Nightwing.
I assume
whatever.
Nightwing.
Yeah.
Because Nightwing's a cop, right? Like Dick Grayson, we saw this in
Titans.
In Titans, so in certain stories, Dick Grayson becomes a cop, right? And then becomes Nightwing.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I mean I'm fine with that because he does quit the police department and says, he wants to do it another way and all this other shit. How do we feel about that? That choice that Bruce Wayne passed it on, and now John Robin Blake is either the Batman or as they do. Also, Gordon does put together the Bat Signal again. He does do that.
Yes, he does.
I mean, I think that's also more of a memorial to Batman because he has a statue now and all the other stuff. Now the city's like, oh yeah, you were the hero the whole time and everything, and kind of finally gets his due. I guess
for the fact that it was a trilogy and it ended and we'll never have to deal with it again, fine. But like I said, why is his middle name Robin? Why not just give it to a known character? Why invent a new character? I mean, give us a little hint about something. Throw us a bone. Is he going to be? In other words, when the thing comes up and he realizes where he is, maybe the thing opens up and there's a bat suit there. That's all you got to do. Okay, he's going to be the next Batman. That's all he needs. That's all he needs to show. And then maybe somebody down the line, he'll have a sidekick, and we'll call him Robin out of his nickname. Makes sense. But this, I thought right away, Robin's taking over. He's going to be Robin. Like I never really. Yeah. It never hit me right away that he's going to be Nightwing. I'm Robin. I am Robin. It's like why are you Robin? Why? Like what's going on here?
What's up, Bert? What's going on?
Q.
And the hype for The Dark Knight Rises was pretty insane, but I also think a lot of that was the hype after The Dark Knight. Like, I mean, we could all remember we were beyond amped up, for this movie after the first two. I mean, how could we not?
For sure.
Gil, you're fired.
Okay, wow. Let's get to.
You're smoking that shit.
Let's get to Bert's comments. It's not the best.
You're smoking that shit, Bert.
But Tom Hardy's performance was iconic. People still talk about it to this day.
As a joke.
Hardy was great.
It's talking about as a joke.
Bert, I'm going to be honest with you. Listen, as we always say, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, you're right. Tom Hardy, since this movie came out, has been a punchline. It's been a joke and making fun of it. So I don't think anyone was like that. He was such a great performance. Like, oh my God, this is like the next Heath Ledger Joker villain or anything even remotely close to that.
Horrible character. Horrible performance. Horrible voice. Gil, get off the drugs, man.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you, buddy. I love you. Get off the drugs, man.
And also, Bert's hitting us with, I still remember people cheered when Bane broke Batman's back. I went to a midnight screening. Yeah, and we actually got to see it a little earlier than that on the midnight on the Thursday because we were talking about the three of us did the marathon that was available. The Batman Begins Dark Knight.
My God, how the fuck did I do that? I watched a 2-hour movie on a 2-hour movie on a 3-hour movie. How the hell did I do that? I'm old. I can't even watch an hour and a half movie at this point.
I remember the second the credits hit for each movie, I just ran to the bathroom, pissed, walked around.
Same here.
Because we knew there was no post-credit scene, so I mean, whatever. But he was also saying, I'm not saying that, but it was really good. All right, Bert, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You're obviously anyone else who enjoyed it. You're entitled to enjoy his performance.
God, I'm glad people.
We definitely did not. And then Greg is telling us he drove all the way to Albany to watch it in IMAX. Nice, Greg. I don't know. I'm assuming you live in somewhere in the 5 boroughs or something like that. I hope you don't live in the.
He's up by Eric.
Oh, he's up by Eric. Okay, all right. So
he's a Maycomber. I know the family.
Okay, so Tim, how far is that drive
to Albany? Albany's actually pretty goddamn far from there.
Okay, so I was gonna say if you drove from the 5 boroughs. All the
unless you're in the city, Greg. I don't know, but then again, I don't know where Greg is though. He moved. I know the deposit Maycombers. Maybe he's somewhere else. But Albany is north and east. Deposit's west, so that's a far ass drive.
Nice. And he's also saying I did that too, Jason. Oh, it was worth it though. Yeah, I mean, again, the 3 of us did watch all 3 of the movies that night. The first night, the Thursday. Yeah, but it was, we couldn't do it, man. I'm sorry. Just I'll say this for that. It is the best live action Bane we've been given so far.
For sure.
And that's one of 2. So
Ed, your Bane before was better.
My Bane before was better. Fair enough. I do take pride in my Bane over the years. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot of fun. But all right, any more notes? Oh, I'm sorry, go.
If anyone wants to see really great Bane, go watch that Harley Quinn show. That's my favorite Bane ever, is the one on the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Oh, and I think there was a Bane in like the season 5 of Gotham, which we don't acknowledge barely on this show because it was total trash.
I've watched 5 episodes of that show.
I'm gonna assume Tom Hardy was better than that crap.
Sure.
That show was just awful.
For sure.
The Joker was the best part of that show. That's it.
But you couldn't say the Joker. I just read an article.
The kid who played supposedly who was the Joker.
Yeah,
was the best part of that show.
I actually admit I did watch one full season of it before I finally tapped out, and it was like I felt like it was like Bane was telling me I now have his permission to die, and that's why we stopped watching that show. It was a rough first season.
We've broken you, Eddie. You have my permission to die after watching a season of Gotham.
Watching a season of Gotham made me feel like Bruce in the prison. Like my back was.
We've made you watch everything you love be destroyed.
I actually don't think that Riddler and Penguin were that bad from what I saw. I didn't see anything past that. They were like okay.
From what I saw that first season, I really liked the Penguin. I was interested in the Penguin. Yeah. I hated the Riddler just because it was like, wait a minute. So the Riddler's in his 30s. What is he going to be in his 60s when Batman is around?
Dude, they were all like that.
Yeah,
that's like that.
That's one of my biggest problems with that show is that by the time that kid becomes Batman,
right? Yeah. But it makes sense with the Penguin because the Penguin is like in his 20s up and coming. So. Like, okay, so when the Penguin is actually the Penguin and Batman is Batman, that would make sense. Penguin's probably in his 40s, Batman's in his 30s, whatever. So it made sense with the Penguin, but everyone else, it was like, what is this geriatric Riddler? Riddle me this. What's in this cup of drugs I'm taking?
I'm telling you, by the time he started locking them up, he would have put them in the Arkham nursery home.
Yeah.
At that point. Or,
the Arkham geriatric ward.
Yeah, it was just terrible. But anything else on The Dark Knight Rises before we wrap? Are we good? We've got it all out of our system. Nothing else we want to get into it. So
should we rank our Batman movies?
We're going to save that for next week because we have the new one coming. We have the Batman. So we have our temporary rankings, which we're not going to share now. But next week. Come check us out. We'll be back Friday night at 8:30. Eric was cool enough to give us the heads up so we can go on before. We will be covering the Batman. The 3 of us are going to get to see it Tuesday night at 7 o'clock in IMAX. We're super excited. I'm actually going to go with TJ to see it again on Thursday for the first showing that's supposed to be. So I'm going to make sure I watch it twice before we talk about it. But Friday night, we'll be talking about the Batman. We'll also be talking about the actual last 2 episodes for Batwoman and for Legends of Tomorrow for the season, and Superman and Lois and Naomi. We got a full slate next week, and we will be doing our Batman rankings. So, yes. Tim, if you're going to join us for that show, start ranking your Batman films and get ready to share, because I'm sure they won't be controversial at all.
No.
Not in the slightest. So.
I could probably do it off the top of my head real quick, but I have to wait. Gotta wait for the new one now.
Gotta wait for the new ones. We don't know where that's going to be placed. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. As always, if you're joining us on a Facebook stream, thanks for joining us. Check out the Great East PhD Facebook group. Join that. Join the Pop Culture Pros Facebook group as well, or wherever else you're catching us on the other groups that we have for all the other cool shows. If you're checking us out on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. If you're on Twitter, follow us. Check us out. Instagram. If you're catching us on the audio-only version, wherever you found us, hit subscribe to Pop Culture Pros and check out the stuff and the cool shows we got running right now. Granny's PhD, as I mentioned, we'll be back next Friday at 8:30. You got the A to Z show with Eric and Tim. Tim is his Ed McMahon now on late night Fridays. And they cover everything, Jason, from
the Avengers to Baron Zemo.
Or just Zemo. I told Eric you do that, by the way, and he was like ridiculously flattered.
I know. I watched your episode on the video game music. Yeah. And I watched you guys talk about that. So
I said, you have any idea? He goes, no, I had no clue. I was like, you're getting the shout out. You gotta respect it.
Tim, we shout out everybody. So we're sharing the love, baby.
We are.
Tim also has 2 other shows as well. If you're into Star Wars, you can check out Shooting the Sith. I join him on there sometimes as well. Actually, I think the majority of them so far. But Tim will be getting that latest episode out there this week. You'll be talking about the finale for Book of Boba Fett, correct?
Correct. And some Star Wars news.
Yeah, so we got that coming. We got the Just Too Sweet show with Tim and Eric as well. Well, they go on Tuesday nights usually, and they talk about wrestling. You guys are back next Tuesday night?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, you're not, because you'll be watching the Batman.
Oh, no, we're watching Batman. No, we might squeeze it in, though.
Okay.
Sometime before that. Maybe Monday.
All right.
Early.
Yeah, so you can check out that for the wrestling. And then when the damn baseball lockout ever wraps up, you got the Empires 161 show if you're into the Yankees, and you got Put in a Book show if you're into the Mets. And then we got off season now, but the We Stomped You Out show for the New York Giants. And we also got Unsportsmanlike Conduct with Tim and Faraci, and they cover everything football pretty much. So yeah, it's all over. So check out all the cool Pop Culture Pro stuff. Jason, Tim, thanks for jumping on tonight.
Ed, you forgot to.
I'm sorry.
You forgot to shill for a very important
one. Hold on. There is one show that I forgot to shill for, and I think it's because of what happened on Monday night.
All right.
I think I was so angry with Monday night, I was trying to forget that ever happened. But yes, if you're into James Bond, actual James Bond 007, you can check out 00 Deep Dive on Monday nights. Jason, what do we got coming up on this Monday night?
So
it's a show I am on, people. I am a part of this show, and I was trying to force them to forget because how angry I was last Monday.
Because last Monday we covered the unfunny comedy Casino Royale, which was terrible. But we're starting the Timothy Dalton era, and we are about to talk The Living Daylights, which I'm excited about. I haven't seen this movie in a while, but I remember liking this movie. So, and this is Ginny's favorite Bond.
Yes, Timothy Dalton is highly underrated.
T-Dalt. T-Dalt. He is super highly underrated. I wish we had more of him.
So we'll check that out. Check out 00 Deep Dive 8:30 on Monday night for myself and Jason. And Ginny gets to talk about Bond, and we'll have more guests. Because I know Eric is super hyped up to talk about Roger Moore, James Bond, soon. That's not that far away now.
No, it's right around the corner. And Tim, you have an open invitation. I've been trying to get guests on to come on.
I'm waiting. I told you I'm waiting for Jaws.
Oh wow!
So all right, so you're coming on. Like everyone wants to come on.
I'm gonna get booted out for the Roger Moore era because you guys know how much I hate it, and everyone's gonna take over. You gotta have a revolving door.
No. I want, and you've got to be there for a bunch of.
I will be there for some, but I know that like there are other people who are dying to get on this to talk about Roger Moore, which I can't believe I'm saying that, but that's what they're. Hey, I guess it's kind of like everyone wanted to come on for Batman Forever.
Right? Again, it's just something
People
we
were
don't
dying
get, but
to
other
come on
people
it.
do.
But
Crazy to me.
all right, so everyone enjoy your night. Stay safe. Check out the Batman, and then come check out our spoiler episode next Friday night. So, peace, everyone.
Later.